Hi guys, it's Hywel with Thrive Outdoors, and on today's Cross the Pond Challenge series I'm going to be showing you guys how to light a fire using a magnesium rod. Okay guys, the first thing you want to do is go out and find a paper birch tree or any birch tree that is in your local area. They're a primary species, so they'll be anywhere where it's wet. It's one of the first trees that will start to grow. Now, you'll know it's a birch tree by this particular pattern on the bark. Also as well, you'll be able to see, I'll put a close up in a moment, that you can actually see where the bark is peeling a little bit. And when you be able to peel the bark off, you'll be able to get a small amount of it and be able to make tinder out of it. It's very important that you get thin stuff like this as much as possible, and a little bit thicker stuff without damaging the tree. The reason for that is the tree, it expands and the bark breaks off and it peels, and you're able to take that and it has natural oils in it, and that's really, really good for setting fires and lighting fires. And that's just my dog squeaking over in the corner. You don't want to take too much off a tree because the tree, you don't want to make it damaged. So I'll do a close-up now of taking stuff off the tree. Okay, so when you take birch bark off, you just want to be able to take it and peel it like this. Peel off the really, really thin parts of it. You don't want to take off anything more than the surface bark. You notice the surface bark when there's just this light pink colour underneath. You only take off what you can take with your hand. You don't take a knife or anything like that to it because you don't want to damage the tree. At the end of the day, this tree is giving you a resource that you are going to use to survive. Okay, so you just want to be using just the outside bark of the tree. As I said earlier, the bark peels off as the tree expands, so the more water that absorbs into the tree, the more the tree expands, and then the bark will slowly start to peel and break off. Okay, so the example tree I've shown here we've used because it's easy and accessible for us to get the camera here. However, because it's just a young tree, it doesn't have that much bark to be able to get off it. Okay, so what I've done is I've got bark from a less accessible tree, and when you're collecting bark, you want to be getting a handful of it, so about this much. Okay, if you get this much bark, then you're going to be able to catch an ember in there later on. Okay, now this may not be just enough, as it might not be thin enough, or it might not catch quite as easily as other things. So it's super good when it gets going, but it can be hard to get going. So on the floor all around a birch tree, you'll find small purple sticks. Okay, and they'll be everywhere. It's new growth that comes down during storms and high winds. Okay, so you'll find that all around on the floor. You want to take about 5-10 minutes just collecting as much of this as you possibly can. It's just everywhere on the floor, and you want to break it all up into small amounts, because this will be, once you get your fire going, this will be the initial tinder that you use to get the fire, to keep the fire lit before you move on to slightly bigger sticks. Okay, so before we actually start making a fire, it's very important that first of all you get permission to make a fire if you're building it in your local area and you're doing it recreationally. Obviously in a survival situation it's slightly different. You'll probably be in an area where you don't actually need to get permission. But if you're doing it locally and recreationally, be responsible, call your fire department, get a permit, or find out the restrictions beforehand with regards to making your fire. So at present I'm only going to make a small fire because at the moment, in order to have a fire of any particular size, you need to have a permit for it. So I'm just going to give an instructional version of the fire. I also have water right next to it, so I'm going to put it out. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're going to go on to preparing the ground for your fire. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to select your area, and then you're going to need to clear about 3 feet around where you're going to have your fire. Okay, the way to do that is to get a stick and just pull all the burnable brush off. Okay, it's important to try and know what type of ground you have there too, because if you have a peaty ground, then no matter how much water you put onto that peaty ground, it's likely to still be lit because it smoulders and lasts for a long time. That's why it was used as a form of fire material in the UK for so long, with regards to heating homes, etc. So you need to make sure that the ground that you have isn't going to be burning afterwards for any particular time, because that can cause a wildfire. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is mark out your fire area. Okay, so I've just done that with a stick there. This isn't necessarily as big as I need it, but I'm just going to do a small instructional fire here, and then I'm putting it straight out. So it's just going to be in this small area, just there is where my fire is going to be. Okay, and what you want to do, you want to get rid of all of the material in that area. Okay, all of the burnable material in that area, you need to get rid of it. Okay, just like that. And that way you're down to bare ground and nothing is going to catch around it and start going off. If you have leaves there, then the leaves are going to catch. Okay, and you don't want that. Okay, so that's the area. Next you're going to need your knife and your magnesium rod from your survival tools. Okay, you're going to need that. You're going to need your silver birch, and you're going to need your initial kindling. Okay, from this initial kindling you'll go to slightly bigger sticks and then bigger sticks again. Okay, but I'm just going to put this on as an example. Okay, so first thing you need to do, the ground here is quite damp, so the last thing I want to do is be putting my kindling directly onto that. So you need to find some bits of your silver birch that are relatively big that will create a small barrier on the ground. Okay, once you have that, get some thinner material, put that on top. Okay, like I said earlier, the thinner this stuff is, the more likely it is to catch, and the easier it is to catch. Okay, it tends to be pretty easy anyway. Then you want to get your magnesium rod. Now, something to think about. This rod here, you can see, this is my dog Pepper. Pepper, 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 Pepper. You can't go there. Go on. Thank you. This rod, when it first came, it was completely black, just like this. And when it's like that, it's very, very hard to get any sparks off it. So you need to wear your rod in, okay? And the way you do that is you just make sparks with it, okay? You just do this and you get it, and you take that patina off it, okay? Next you want to do, you want to put your rod into your kindling, and you just use this serrated section of your knife here, okay? And you just want to be going like this and get as many sparks as possible, okay? There we go. So you get that going, then you get your small bits of kindling and you put it on top. Okay, you don't want to kill the fire, so that's why it's important to have a little bit more of this to put on top. Okay, that there is how you make a fire using the magnesium rod. So as you can see, the fire is still going. It's the bits that I put on there, the bits of birch are still burning. Okay, this is only like a minute or so after it's burning, but this has created a fire that you can then work from. Okay, I still got plenty of kindling there, but to show that I'm being responsible, I have my water here. I'm going to make sure that I put a full litre of water over that. Okay, just going to put my hand through it, rub it all the way through, and then check that there's no hot spots in there. And that's our fire completely out. Okay guys, so that is how to light a fire using the magnesium rod and the knife from your kit. Remember, find the birch bark, okay, make sure that you only take off what you can with your hands. Okay, don't use a knife for it. Secondly, make sure that you clear the area that you're going to be lighting in, and make sure you know the rules for lighting the fire in your particular area. Getting permission from the fire department if you're doing it anywhere residential or local to you. Okay, that's my dog going, and she's going to come back. There we go. Thirdly, if the ground is wet, make sure there's a barrier. You can use silver birch, or you can use anything that's dry essentially. You can even use a rock. Okay, put that in there, light your fire on it. The purple branches that are around, get hold of them, put them on there, they'll go up nicely. Okay, build your fire slowly from there. You don't want to chuck too much on there early on. that's because you'll end up suffocating your fire and it ruins the fire triangle. So, which is air, fuel and ignition. Okay, that's the fire triangle. So give it a like and a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go over to Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and like us on there. And if you like more of this content, loads more of it's coming soon. And make sure you like Team Brit, mainly because I'm better looking than Jake.